All right, everybody, welcome Dr. Hendrix Sr. He is from Carroll County.
Clayton County, because it had a C in it.
Clayton County.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell us a little bit about himself before he gets
Sure.
going. I'm super excited to have you here, and you are going to let us know about your book, too.
I will let you know about my book, too. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, first and foremost. And I would also like to say thank you to Leilani and the Learning Council for inviting me here. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my colleagues who are all either chief academic officers or deputy superintendents within the Clayton County Public School District. My name is Douglas Hendrix Sr. I am a 30-year educator as of this year. It means I could walk out the door, get my car, go to the house if I wanted to, and that's where that would end. I have come up the gamut. I've been a teacher, and I'll always be a teacher. I've been the assistant principal, a principal. I was the director of human resources, and about a year and a half after becoming the director of human resources, I became the chief of human resources. I served in that position for 8 years. I went on to be an assistant superintendent over 17 of our 67 schools. And from there, I am currently the senior deputy superintendent, chief of staff for Clayton County Public Schools, where I get into every department's business when they don't want me to. And we always figure it out together. My greatest experience was as a principal at Adamson Middle School, because a lot of the things that I want to talk to you about, although they were done in an old system, were done well. And so as much as that system could work for students, it did at a high level. And so I'm very proud of that experience. But that's my background. I'm from Gainesville, Georgia. I'm married. I have 2 wonderful children who are growing up to be hopefully generation alpha adults who will help figure it out so AI didn't take us all over and then we just, in the world, there'll be those people that are trying to make the next generation of people smarter as well. So with that being said, I'm ready to begin.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Okay. So here we go. I always dislike when I get up in front of people or I have to sit and listen to a presentation and a person has 100 slides. So I'm going to make sure that I make that promise to you now that I do not have 100 slides. But in these 99 slides, we're going to have a discussion about the reimagining of school. Okay? No. Here's another thing. Raise your hand if you've been to Blockbuster in the last month. Blockbuster. Nobody likes Blockbuster? Okay. Raise your hand if you've read a Marvel comic book recently. Yeah? Traditionalists. That's good. Some people enjoy it. My point is this. Those are things that are relics of a past that don't fit today. There's no need to go to Blockbuster. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Sling, you got all of the things that have evolved. To be quite honest, many people don't even use cable anymore because we've evolved past that. Marvel had the great sense to go from comic books to movies, to deal with an audience that's different from the audience of that day. The contention that I make to you this morning is public education needs to do the same thing. That we operate from an industrial age model of education. And I believe I can prove it. And it's always up for discussion. So, again, the purpose of this presentation is to invoke thought, to get everybody thinking, where do we go from here? Are we where we want to be, or do we need to evolve? My contention is that we need to evolve, okay? We need to empower our learners in different ways. We need to do more with teaching them how to think instead of what to think. We need to stop teaching them to our past and teach them to their future. We spend an enormous amount of time considering how we're going to get them to be standardized and how we're going to get them to conform. And that's, for lack of a better term, played out. So let's talk about it. Let's think about it. We have to start with the origins of education. And it started in this country in what's known as the colonial age, right? The colonial age. And what was the purpose of education in the colonial age? To teach people how to read the Bible and how to be subservient to a supervisor. That's what it was about. Very simple. We moved on, and it was also exclusive, usually led by somebody who was a religious leader, not necessarily a trained teacher. And education was for the few. Then a wonderful man by the name of Horace Mann came into play. And what Horace Mann came into play and said is school should be for everyone. And so he came up with what we know as common schools. Now, mind you, we're still talking about the one-room schoolhouse, right? The one-room schoolhouse. You remember the schoolhouse with the kindergartner and the senior in the same room? Varying ability levels. That was schooling. And at the time, it was innovation. At the time, Horace Mann's belief from the colonial period was innovation. But then we get to the 1847 Akron Law, the school law. It changed education completely. What were some of its biggest tenets? First and foremost, children were grouped by age. It was the invention and the beginning of grade schooling. The belief was that if we're the same age, we're more than likely close to the same ability level. We'll challenge that contention, but that was the contention. It also brought my favorite thing into play, school boards. School board. Any other educators in here? Let me get to this game. I love school boards. No. I do have great respect for school boards, but we have to talk about what they look like in the new schooling as well. But this was all innovation for the period. But persistently, the influences of these three things still dominates our education system. Still. Let me prove that it's not necessarily the best thing. To understand this and to really put it into context, we have to talk about the generations and the difference in the generations. Starting with the traditionalists, who this was the perfect education for, right? It was about being disciplined, loyal, conformed, standardized, right? It was about memorization. It was about obedience, basic job skills. Still, reading the Bible, conforming, and being subservient to your supervisor, right? The traditionalists. This probably worked for the baby boomers to a certain degree. You know, it was goal-oriented, influenced by post-war. It was about social movements. And it was a lot about conformity still. I contend that this is the last generation of people that our current educational setup worked for. Let's move. Generation X. I think I'm in there. No, I'm generation, what is it, Gen A? No, I'm not Gen A. I'm Gen X. Gen X. We became independent. We became skeptical, right? We were shaped by early digital tools. What were our early digital tools? I had a ViewMaster. Yeah, anybody in here know what a ViewMaster is? Okay. We do, Charmin. I'm sure we know what a ViewMaster is. We had the dual income households. Education. It increased. Now, here's where the education system still stayed the same. Standardized testing was still in play. Not a fan of standardized testing. I'm not a fan of the word standardized. Just by our humanity, we're not standardized. And then there were rigid academic and vocational tracking. This is where that accountability piece came in that really stagnated us from becoming all that we could be. The millennials. I'm sure this is when kids start cutting up, right? Because I am totally out of my mind in here. We are collaborative, but you don't want us to talk? We are digital pioneers. They don't know in their adulthood a day without a cell phone. Everything's fast paced. Technological changes are abundant. And there's limited integration, but there is integration of digital tools, and there is an emphasis on routine learning and test scores still. Gen Z are the digital natives. It's all they know. And if you get to Generation Alpha, those who were born in 2013, if you see a child without an iPad, please call me. Okay? But a great point was made at our table when we were having group discussion that I had not thought about. Their interaction with technology, we sometimes say that they know more about technology than we do. Well, it depends on what kind of technology usage you're talking about. They know about social usage, but they don't know about the things that will propel them into the future and prepare them for the jobs that have not even been created yet. But I hope you can see through our analysis of the different generations how our industrial factory model education system stopped working for many, many people who still need a viable education in our country. What has it led to? If you're an educator in the room, you know this is very true. There is a crisis in education. And even our best schools, even those schools that we believe are the best, when you look at them internationally, it's still a problem. The best of our students in mathematics, the best of them, on international tests, they score 7%. While you have other countries who are scoring 30%, 40%. And I promise it's not their brains. Who came to work today in a horse and buggy? Yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. Declining performance, I just spoke to that. We have countries like Singapore, Japan. Estonia is a small country in Europe, and they have the #1 educational system in Europe and have had it for a while because they do certain things, not things that are strange to us either. We know what they are. We'll talk about them. There are gross inequities. And inequity cannot be a word that we throw away because it doesn't fit a narrative that we want to believe. Inequity, in my opinion, is a word that states a reality that we must face, and we must challenge it, and we must hack it, and we must change it. There are too many schools that are underfunded. Underfunded. Why should I go to a worse school because I was born somewhere? Right? So low income areas face overcrowding, outdated resources, right? These things break your heart. Teacher shortages. And especially in Black, Hispanic, and low income students, they bear the brunt of these inequities, and it deepens the cycle of generational poverty, not just poverty, generational poverty. And of course, the teacher crisis is out of control. We spend a lot of time starting over because we have to replace a significant amount of our teaching force, or we can't even find teachers, and we have to revert to people who don't even have a certification. That means they don't have content, they don't have pedagogical knowledge, and assessment information is probably foreign to them. But we expect the untaught to teach the untaught, and we be successful. School culture and safety issues, I don't have to speak upon those. We've seen an uptick in violence in schools. Schools used to be a sacred place, and now they've become a place where many times parents are looking for alternatives because they're afraid to send their children to school. It should not be. Leadership and governance failures. Now, I could sit on this and I could do this one all day. As much as we may not want to admit it, the problem lies with many of us. If all I do is hire my friends, I'm an employment agency, I'm not a school district, and I'm killing my culture. I'm destroying our chances at innovation. And I'm destroying what may be the last hope for children who attend the schools that I oversee. It cannot be. I have many friends. I have many friends in education. But if I fill a school with them, we may not be successful because I don't choose my friends on their ability to do their job. I choose my friends on what they mean to me. And there's a difference for me, right? There's a total disconnect with higher education. It's a two-way street too, by the way. You know, who they send to us is very traditionalist, industrial age schooling model. And who we send to them is unprepared, it's cyclical. We're harming each other. And we need to come together and have a discussion and reinvent and reimagine that relationship and what that relationship is supposed to turn out. These are the crises that I see that predominate our educational system. But I do think there's hope. I do think we have to take the time to reimagine public education. And it starts with a lot of things. It starts with governance. When you start to reimagine something of this significance and you're trying to change a system, you change nothing unless you change the head first. When you change it from the inside, I believe you always start with the younger children and it comes up. But this has to be changed at the governance level first. What do I mean by that? Too many times, our heads or our boards of education are political people who are advocates for their political points, right? And a lot of times that's so conflicting, when what we really need is ambassadors for innovative practices. We need for them to support the things that will work for our students. Don't come to me about a lot of technology and just buy technology for the sake of buying technology. Be a part of the plan. But it's also incumbent upon school leadership and district officials to make sure that you're informing, training, teaching, working with your boards, making sure that they have an understanding so that they can support those things. But we definitely need boards of education to be not advocates, but we need them to be ambassadors for what we do. Okay? Now, in every challenge, there's a shining spot. And we could have this conversation all day and we could disagree, but I believe the true leaders of the new school are the teachers, right? Teaching, we have to rethink it. We have to put back in it the respect it deserves. We also have to pay for good teaching. We have to train for good teaching. And then we have to create leadership dynamics within the teaching ranks that makes a person who loves that interaction with students never want to leave it. Right now in public education, your best days are the days when you get the furthest away from children. I got a promotion today. Okay, how far away are you from the children? That's what it's turned into. But I dream of a day when we have master teachers, leaders, highly trained individuals, people who are not only able to train children, but they're able to serve as role models and trainers for teachers, people who want to become teachers, and that these are highly paid, highly skilled individuals who write curriculum, who model curriculum, who are collaborative with other teachers. They are as important to a school district as any official in it, and they help design the new school, the school of tomorrow. And they serve as role models for those who wish to become them. Master teachers lead instruction across schools, and they mentor apprentice teachers while designing rigorous curriculum. This model addresses teacher shortages, and it ensures consistency in instructional quality, and it puts back a lot of respect for the teaching field. Okay? Personalized modular learning. I contend to you that we still have the same ability issue in classrooms that we had when we had the one-room school. Because if we're the same age, that doesn't necessarily translate into us having the same ability level. And so the children who are really acclimated to learning sit in the classroom idling, waiting for the other kids to catch up, bored, being robbed of their opportunity to advance themselves, while the kids who are on the other end of the spectrum get lost and can't wait for the day that they quit school. We have to fix this. We have to find a way to train all children. And one of the ways to do that is personalize the learning. Meet children where they are. Challenge them where they are. And in grades K through 2, let's get foundational. Let's be a little traditionalist in that. Let's teach children how to read, and let's do basic mathematics. And one of the things I'm pushing the team for is to think about executive functioning. We all could take a little organizational skilling or improvement, right? Think about if you did that over the years. There are countries that don't try to teach all these things at once. They set the foundation and then they watch their children blast off, right? Nobody's throwing tomatoes yet, so good. Yeah. Project-based and critical thinking. I hate grades, and I do not believe there's such a thing as cheating in school, right? I believe most things that we do in life, we do together, right? And when we succeed the most, we succeed together. There are a lot of things that could be figured out. Some of the best teachers I ever had were my friends. You know, we're working on something and they helped to understand it because they had kids speak, you know, and they could talk in ways that I could understand it and they could show. You know, I think that project-based learning that supports critical thought. Stop teaching children what to think. Start showing them how to think, and they'll figure out anything. I think those things are important. Technology integration, we cannot avoid it. Technology will never take the place of a teacher, but it can enhance the learning in ways that our minds can only dream of. And to be quite honest, anything that you can dream of can be done. I have these VR, Oculus. You ever heard of the Oculus? Anybody? No? That's a long way from the Viewmaster, ain't it? Right? So my children will wear the Oculus, and they had a little program on there. And I asked my daughter what she's doing. She said, I'm dissecting a frog on the Oculus. Those are the kind of things that we need to be able to do. Okay? Very important that we get to that place. And leadership has to be redefined. I believe in coaching days for administrators, and then they have the days where they do official business in the office, with most of those days being coaching days. Education is not a spectator sport. And if you work in it, you have to be in the game. They should be in the game. They should be in the class. They should be educational experts, not bureaucracy experts, okay? I'm going to zoom through, okay? I think we had a conversation about the master teachers, and they're the visionaries of instruction. These are the true leaders of the new school, in my opinion. The apprentice teachers are the people who are coming up under them. Instructional coaches and specialists are the people who are the catalyst for teacher growth. We should always be growing teachers. I call them the fertilizer for teachers because they're always sprinkling their knowledge on teachers and expanding our teachers to be great. School principals and site administrators have to be the architects of learning. They have to set the vision and keep the mission in tow. Boards of education are the stewards of innovation. What they approve, what they are informed about will direct the school district or school to success or failure. And community members cannot be removed. We have their greatest asset, their children. We have to have them involved because they have the most and should have the most influence on their children. Our learning classrooms, our spaces, we need to move away from our traditional layout, rows, sage on the stage, and create situations where there's collaborative opportunities to segregate children by ability level so that they're able to do the things that they need to do that will help them be better at learning. And we need collaborative spaces. Again, I don't believe in cheating. I believe in people working together. And we need technology-enhanced environments in all ways that are possible. Adaptability for different learning needs, hands-on and experience-based learning, integration of natural and calming elements. You got to go to zero sometimes, right? You got to go to zero sometimes so that you can be at your highest point. I think we've covered that. Community and industry partners are essential because all children won't go to college. Some children have to find a trade or work. And we need those people in the schools helping us to train the children for those jobs that they have available. We need partnerships, pathways, pipelines. That's what community partners do for us. You see some more of that. Transformative assessments. Tests mean nothing. They create competition that's not needed. And they've also created other things, if you look out in the history of it, especially in places where people have cheated to get the benefits of what could happen when you do testing right. It robs our children. They need to solve real-world problems with foundational knowledge. And there are many global lessons for educational reform. Please read my book. Core insights, high-performing systems prioritize teacher preparation. That goes without saying. How do you play a football game and not practice, right? And so with that being said, I know I have 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's
open up
take
the
a
floor
couple
for
more
questions.
minutes and ask questions. Hold on, I gotta get this turned on.
And also, I'm going to put this up here so you can see the QR code if you're interested in the book. Leaders of the New School, Advancing Public Education from the Industrial Age to the Innovation Era. It's a book that I wrote, and I welcome you to disagree, but you're going to have to show me how the current system works.
I have a question. You mentioned executive functioning.
Yes.
And I did explore that when I opened our online campus back during COVID in 3 months. But I want to know, like, how do you foster that and build it out for an entire district? Because in that concentrated area of control, it was easy and simpler. But in terms of a larger district, how do you apply and kind of get everybody along that mindset of executive function?
In all honesty, we're at the conversational stages of that. The team is exploring what we can do with executive functioning. To build it out, in my humble opinion, we start at the lower levels with the amount of executive functioning children at that age group can handle. But it's very essential, it's important that we teach them how to be organized early. If you look at some research, executive functioning is used with special education children, and we see that it delivers a lot of children from the special education out, because what happens is it gives them the organizational skills that they don't have. Sometimes we think a lot more is ailing children than actually is. They just need the right thing to happen, and it can't be standardized or conform. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just got a quick question. What are some things that you all are doing to change the mindset of some principals to become instructional coaches?
Man, we're going to tie them up, hold them down. We're going to, no. It's conversation after conversation. The principals and the people under the people who lead districts will become whatever the vision of that district is. Whatever those people consistently show themselves to be, everybody else will get in line. And the ones that don't believe in that and don't want to get in line will leave. What we're doing is we're having conversations and we're trying to be what we require and ask and want them to be. And so training is always a part of that, but it takes more than training, because you can train people who don't believe, and that's just compliance. What we want is a deep seating, resonating belief that even goes beyond the teachers and principals and all those people into the kids in the community.
Awesome. Can we give this man a big round of applause?
Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you.